Hey cutie pies, I'm Lanikia and you're watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is General Hospital Edition. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this 7.5. I'd probably give it a 7.5. Um, so let's just get right into it. So we see that, who is it? Um, okay, let me knock these people out of the way. We see Britt. It has been tumbled over by a guy named Cody. We find out that he is Dante's friend. Britt says, I want to press charges. Now, Spinelli, I know he's not saying it, but Spinelli runs this event because he has invested a lot. He said, well, I thought it was a good idea. He said, I think it's a good idea to have a man come down in the sky or whatever. Now, Britt doing all this fussing and her and Cody going back and forth or whatever, but he finally leaves with Dante now. And they say they're not going to arrest him. And we find out he's Dante's childhood friend. And he's not going to arrest him or anything, but he leaves with him and Sam or whatever. And so that leaves Britt, Spinelli, and um, Brad to talk. And Britt is just like, Britt tells Brad, don't even think about it. And he was like, what? She said, he's mine. And he said, what? You want him? Like, I thought from the way you were reacting. She said, what better way to prove love than, that love is not real and everything than to, show that even if a man falls from the sky, that it's still not real or whatever. So there's that. So then we see, and that's it with them, y'all. She gonna go after Cody. So then we see Brooklyn and Chase talk, and I'm not gonna hold you long on certain storylines because it wasn't much. And they doing their whole thing again about talking in circles and codes around each other. So he says, I'm going to go all in. And she said, yes, I think that's what we should do, what people should do sometimes, just go after what they want. He said, I'm going to help you with Link and all that. And I said, okay, Chase. And then they lean into each other like they're about to kiss again. And he gets a phone call from Finn. And it's like, all right, a text message or whatever from Finn. And it's like, all right, like, y'all, I'm done with them. Wake me up when they come closer together, closer to being actually together, when they actually are together. Because this whole tease that they've been doing for literally months now, it's been months. This whole tease and everything, I'm over it. So he's gonna end up helping her or whatever, but she tells him go look after Finn and make sure he's okay and everything with the whole everything going on with little Elizabeth. So then we see, excuse me, then we see who else is it? Okay, let's go to Phyllis and Sunny. So Phyllis and Sunny are in the pub, they're at Charlie's. And she said he asked her, did she find Nina? Has she seen Nina? And she says no. And she said, I figured that, Nina would call me and let me know how the case went. And he said he's just worried about her and everything. And he tells her about taking the stand and defending Nina. And she says, I'm not surprised. She said, Sonny, that's the type of man you are. Because I remember when we had problems in Nixon Falls that you defended me and my husband and everything, because that's the type of man that you are. And he says, my son's not going to see it that way and everything. And he was like, he doesn't think he's going to be able to see Wally anymore, but he just wants him to grow up to be his own man, not Sonny, not Michael, his own man. And so she just says, everything will work out, Sonny. Everything will be fine. And so then she gets a phone call and it's Scott asking, has Nina been there? And he lets her know that Nina lost the case. So then Sunny says, I gotta go find her. And she says, Sunny, Nina might not want to be found. Remember, she went to Nixon Falls because Nina goes away sometimes just to regroup, get herself together. And he says, I gotta find her or whatever. She said, you don't even know where to look. And he says, I think I have an idea. So Sunny goes to Nell's grave, and that is where Nina was. And I think he's going to find some kind of clue or something that she was there, and so he's concerned about about her, whatever. Or we see that on the next episode that he's going to be concerned about her. But that's it with Sunny and them. But then we see that Cody, Sam, and Dante end up at Phyllis' place, and they could see Dante. They were all, talking and everything, and they can see that Phyllis is worried about something. So she tells Dante and Cody, I mean Dante and Sam what went on, and they, Cody's like, everything all right, and he's like, yeah. He was like, it's just family stuff. So Sam is like, well, who are you, Cody? And he says, I'm Cody Bell, and she said, nah, but like, who are you? Because he says, I'm Dante's old childhood friend. We used to, grew up together and got into a lot of trouble. and and she says I'm sorry. He says we grew up together and everything, and that's just who, and got into a lot of trouble. I said, okay, this is gonna be a mess right here. And so then we keep going along because that's it with them. That's all that happened with them. So then we go to seeing um Cam. Spencer is outside of the home, and while he's outside of the home, he's outside of the room with Ava at Nicholas' door. And while he's outside, we see that Esme's jacket is on the ground. And so when he sees Esme's jacket is on the ground, he starts calling out her name, which alerts Esme and Nicholas. So then she's like, "Oh." So then they're both just like, "Oh, let's Spencer is just like, "Oh well, I'm not gonna think about it or whatever." And because he tries to open the door, but it's locked. And so he was like, "This door is never locked," but he was like, "Oh well, I don't know where they are." Or whatever. But Ava doesn't leave. She knocks again or whatever, and Spence and Nick comes to the door. And so when Nicholas comes to the door, she was like, "What's going on? Like, what took you so long, and what's going on?" And so she goes inside, and he says, "Oh, I was sleeping." She said, "What must have been some nap. Your hair's all messed up. Your shirt's unbuttoned incorrectly." And I'm like, "Where you missed a button on your shirt and everything?" And I'm like, "Where is Esme?" Esme is on outside on the ledge, child. Outside on the ledge. And so Ava and Nicholas just talk, and she tells him, "Forgive me for what I said. I don't want to not be together. I don't know why I said that. She said, I talked to Laura, and she told me what you did for Avery." She said, "And the fact that you did that, you didn't want a bunch of announcements. You didn't want it to take any credit for it. You just quietly did it. It made me realize why I fell in love with you. And I'm sorry that I told you that, that I wanted the marriage to be over and all that. I care about you and I love you and I want us to work." And then she hears a shoe drop outside, and it's Esme. And so she's about to go outside, and Nicholas said, "Oh, it's bats, but we should be happy because they keep insects away." So Ava's like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna go out here with bats or whatever." So, anyways, Nicholas keeps trying to tell Ava, "Let's go, let's go, let's go out of the room." And at first she was like, "No, like what's wrong with you?" And he was just like, "Oh, I was reading and fell asleep and everything." And so they couldn't, so then they start back talking. And when they start back talking, he said, "Why didn't you, she was telling him, I'm so sorry. And, and I want us to work, I want to fight for us." He said, "Why didn't you tell me this before?" And she said, "Before what?" He said, "Before you decided you didn't want our marriage to work and everything." Because Nickel is so discombobulated. He like me right now because I just saw something on the news and had me going, "Oh my gosh." But Nicholas he was just so discombobulated. He's just like, can we come with me? I just have something. You won't regret it. Just come with me." He's trying to get out of that room. And so she's like, "Okay, Nicholas." So she leaves. And then Esme comes out and she said, "Oh, she'll regret it. Ava, you will regret it, and so will you, Nicholas." I said, "This girl, crazy as a fox." Here we go. And so then that leads Ava and Nicholas to go, into another room. And he tells her, he starts acting weird. She's like, "Nicholas, what's going on with you?" And he says, "There's something I got to tell you." She said, "What is it? You're scaring me." And so then we see that Cam has came over because, Spencer went on down. And Cam has came because Nicholas, before I move on, Nicholas, she said, "Why is this door locked?" He said, "Oh, was it locked? The wind must have blew it." I can't. I can't. And so, anyways, Cam came over because he received Spencer's message. He was like, "What have you done?" And he said, "I lost my cool. I saw Trina with Rory." And he said, "Trina with that cop." And Cam said, "Trina was with Rory?" And he said, and then here come Esme ripping into Trina. He said, "I just lost my cool." And Cam told Spencer, "Listen, you're going to have to keep this together because I'm not about to lose Joss because you can't keep this together." He said, "You have until tonight to make something work." Because Joss is going into me about how you are loving Esme or whatever and not Trina. Like, because you won't tell the truth about you have feelings for Trina and you're trying to win Trina over. And so then, so Cam is just like, I'm done playing these games. Make it work. And he leaves. And so then Spencer catches up with Esme and he's like, I have something to tell you. Where have you been? And she was like, around. And he was like, I have something to tell you. And she was like, I have something to tell you too. I said, what is going on here? So that was it with them, y'all. So then we see Joss. Speaking of Joss, we see Joss and Wiley. She's at the park with him or whatever, and everything is going fine. Now there was a spoiler that Nina was supposed to find Wiley when he went missing at the park with Joss, but that didn't happen because she gathers up their things and everything. I'm not gonna hold you long because it wasn't much of that storyline, and I'm not about to go into details about Josh and Wiley because it was not, it literally was nothing. So she gathers up Wiley's things and everything, and she goes to the courthouse because she says she figures that Michael and Willow would want to see Wiley. So she gets to the courthouse, and before she gets there, Drew and they inform Drew that they won and they're very happy or whatever. And then Drew tells Michael, "Hey, can I talk to you?" So that gives Carly and Willow time to talk, and you could tell Willow has no time for Nina. She does. She's happy Nina's out of their life. She's glad that she'll never. It's court ordered that she'll never be able to bother them again. She is happy. And so then we see Drew talk to Michael and he says, "Hey, Dante was saying you're trying to use ELQ to take Sonny down." ELQ, and he says, "Oh, you're not with that?" He said, "No, I'm not with that." He said, "Michael, you are trying to take Sonny down when you could just talk to him, or just talk to him and just work this issue out without putting others in." And he says, Sonny took the stand today in Nina's behalf. He said, "Yeah, but you had issues before that." And he was like, he started going over all that stuff with Nixon Falls. I'm not gonna hold you long on that. And so Drew was just like, yeah, he said, "Now don't forget, I'm your uncle. Like, we're not just partners. I'm your uncle." And he says, "We're not going to use ELQ to take Sonny down or whatever." He says, "And you're forgetting that there's other people involved. There's Dante, Christina, Donna, Avery. Like, it's not just about you and your issues with Sonny." And he says, "I can love them and still have issues with Sonny." And Drew says, "No, that gets messy because they don't have this animosity towards Sonny that you do or whatever." And he says, "We all know my dad's not a coffee importer. That's not his real business or whatever." He says, "But I'm gonna take him down and not gonna use ELQ." And Drew, I don't think Drew believed it. I don't believe it either. Because Drew said, because listen, there we have to think about all the people who work for ELQ. You don't want to go to war with a mob boss. That's what Drew was trying to say. We're not going to go to war with a mob boss because you're putting everyone else's life in danger doing that as well. And so Michael says, "No, I'm gonna be good or whatever. It's cool." I actually like this Michael. I don't know why, but I like the way he's playing this character or whatever. So then they all go back with Nina. Excuse me. Then they all go back and Wiley and Willow come. Excuse me, Joss come. And so when they come, they say, "We played in the park and I won." And they said, they were like, Wiley was like, "What are y'all doing here?" And Carly was like, "Your mommy and daddy played a game too today and they won." And Josh was like, "Oh my gosh, y'all won," and all that. And Willow was like, "And so now we don't have to worry about, anyone again." And Carly was like, "Yes, we never have to worry about it again." Because remember, they was asking about the results Carly had, and she never really answered their question or whatever because Drew came up. And so they all leave or whatever because they're happy and they're going to go and celebrate the win. And so then Drew talks to Carly and he says, what was the results?" And she tells him, I told y'all she was going to lie. She tells him that Harmony lied that Nina is not Willow's mother. And Drew, he don't believe, I won't say that he doesn't believe her, but I think in the back of his mind he's a little bit skeptical because he says, "Why would Harmony lie about that?" And she was like, "Who knows? There's no reason for Harmony to lie about that or whatever." But she was like, "Who knows what Harmony was thinking or doing or whatever." She says, he was like, "Yeah, well, if since Willow has animosity and since Nina lost the court case, it's probably best that she's not, really Willow's mother." And she was like, "Right." And I said, "Carly, this is not going to go the way you think because Willow is sick. And I'm sorry, that's what I believe. I believe Willow is sick and Willow is going to need Nina's something from Nina. Whatever it is, the only person that that can help her will be Nina. And the truth is going to have to come out once this is figured out. And honestly, I think Drew should have told Carly, let me see them results. Let me see those results. And how was Carly able to do the DNA test without having just going to the hospital and turning in 2 pieces of DNA? I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, this is so proper. And that's all I got for you today, guys. It was okay. It was okay. But that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow for a new episode.